So Playtonic has put up this spit and polish update, and while there's not that much surprising stuff in this update, I at least thought that while the speedrunning community right now is pretty much asleep waiting for the next patch to happen, I thought that maybe I'll give a little bit of an insight for people who are interested in what's actually going on and why this spit and polish update is actually something that was highly sought after as soon as the game released. So in this little update, they talk a bit about the first patch that they're gonna put in, like some of the features that were still missing, like the toy box secret that was not yet implemented, the 64-bit tonic probably as well, even though none of that is actually confirmed yet. But most importantly, it says that they're gonna give you the ability to skip dialogue faster, bypass cutscene, and reduce the gibberish voices. And they're also changing a bit of how the camera operates. So in speedrunning right now, I've said this in my review as well, that Yooka-Laylee is a really good speed game, probably one of the best out there. The only problem being that a lot of time that you spend running the game is spent watching cutscenes and is spent mashing through text. Now, you don't have to mash that fast, get through the text fairly quickly. It's just that whenever a text box comes up, there's an animation where the text box appears and then like grows bigger, then the text appears. Then the text disappears, and then there's another animation where the text box disappears. Then someone else comes in, and another text box comes up, and has to go all the way big, has to like extend, and then it has to disappear again. And all of these animations, they take a lot of time, and that's where a lot of the time spent goes in when you have like a lot of text boxes going on, like especially towards the start of the game when you have so many text boxes everywhere. This is also where a lot of the gibberish comes in, especially during cutscenes actually, because during cutscenes, since you can't mash text, you'll be listening to a lot of that gibberish. And the thing is though that I for myself, I didn't mind the gibberish that much. Of course, after a while it wore a bit on your mind hearing that every single time, but that's more a problem with the cutscene. If cutscenes become skippable, I don't think you even hear the gibberish voices anymore, because you just skip all the text boxes instantly anyway. So I guess it's still nice to have it in there though. The most important part about this though is that we will indeed get the cutscene skip, and that was something that was highly requested before the game even launched. Now, even a year ago, and especially when the toy box came out and we got a little bit of a hands-on experience and we saw that, oh, this game actually plays really well. It's got some really nice movement. It's really fun to like try and go fast, like see what jumps it can make, to like get used to the text that we found back then as well. And we said, okay, if the actual gameplay for the full game, for the full Yooka-Laylee game, like not just for the toy box, because that was just a sort of demo. If the full game is going to have a lot of gameplay and not much stuff that takes you out of gameplay, it's going to be a really good speed game. And so even back then we said, okay, what we even sent this to Playtonic like via emails and stuff, and we talked to them and said, okay guys, this is a really awesome speed game. We can already see it from the way the movement works, like movement wise it looks really awesome. The thing is though that we want cutscenes that are going to be in the game, obviously. We want them to be skippable, and Playtonic people before have worked on other games that had cutscenes in them. Then if you watch the cutscene on a different game file before, then you could skip them on other play files. That's something that has been sort of a standard, but no one really talked about it that much. It was just something that was kind of something that we expected from those games like that. And we initially thought, well, we're gonna tell Playtonic anyway, but we thought to ourselves, surely they're not gonna miss this. Surely they're gonna put this in the game. It should be fairly simple to implement. And when the game came out, it wasn't possible. We couldn't skip cutscenes, and we just don't know why. I do have some ideas as to maybe why, and that is that some cutscenes have stuff happen in them, like a character gets moved around. If you look at the intro cutscene actually flows over into gameplay without any sort of fade to black or anything, and it actually happens during a text box. So maybe they didn't sort of think about that and were like, oh, if we skip the intro cutscene, what are we going to do about that? Because it happens during a text box and the character is moving and it flows into the actual gameplay of your character moving forward. If we skip the cutscene, we're going to have to emulate that somehow, like the character moving forward from the cutscene into stuff like that. But the thing is, we found out in some of the codes, I think someone said they looked at some of the game files and looked at the code, and they said that there was actually a button in the game, or like a hotkey designation in the game files that says skip cutscene. So they definitely thought about it, and they probably did some work on it. They just didn't fully implement it as the game released, which is probably one more point on the list of people saying, well, maybe this game should have been worked on a bit more. But yeah, that's one thing that apparently wasn't quite ready for release, and we're finally getting it. The other thing is the dialogue skips. I think if you want to make dialogue skips faster, all you have to do is make the animations for a text box appearing and disappearing instantaneous. I think if you do that, it should be fairly quick. Like, it would already save like half the time spent mashing dialogue boxes. Like, that's how much time you would save just by making that faster. And they said that it's optional, so you can probably just tick a box somewhere that says skip back boxes faster, or even a box that says speedrun mode or something, I don't know. Maybe not something that says speedrun mode, but something similar. We can just tick a box, and then cutscenes get skipped, or dialogues get faster, and maybe you can skip cutscenes by pressing a button during the cutscene. Maybe something like that. So the thing is, because of all that not being in the game when the game released, a lot of speedrunners and a lot of people looking to speedrun the game themselves, or a lot of people even watching speedruns, were pretty demotivated. Like, the first 2 weeks or 1.5 weeks of running, everyone was of course really motivated because it's a new game. You want to speedrun it as fast as you can. You want to get in there, get those times, get really fast, because it feels really nice to like go fast. That's what speedrunning should be about. There's a whole another discussion that has recently gone on, or always goes on whenever you talk about anything to do with speedrunning, but I'm not gonna go into that. But what should make speedruns fun, and the reason why you do speedruns, is because you want to go fast and because it's fun to go fast. And it's definitely very fun to go fast in Yooka-Laylee. The problem was just that all the time you had to mash through text boxes, and you had to sit there not being able to play, not being able to be in the gameplay that you like so much, and having to sit through cutscenes. Every single time you start a run, and so far I've done like 60 runs or something in total, every single time I had to press that button to start a run, I sat there for a little bit under 5 minutes just waiting. Like, there's a loading screen at the start, and then there's a 4.5 minute cutscene. So about 5 minutes every time I start the game up and not doing anything. I've done about 60 runs. You can do the math on how much time I've spent here just looking at a screen, not doing anything, and watching the same thing over and over and over again. So yeah, a lot of people got really demotivated by that. So after the initial hype was over, the initial like 1.5 weeks was over, people just didn't do runs anymore. There were like a handful of people that still wanted to kind of do some runs, and there were still quite a few runs submitted to the leaderboards, but it was very obvious that people didn't quite like running the game that much anymore, because it just wore on you so much that you had to sit with cutscene every single time you had to reset. Every single time you did something wrong and you were like, oh no, if I reset I have to watch the intro cutscene again. People got really motivated. Now, there was also a movement going on where we say, oh, why don't we just time from after the cutscene? And while there's a whole there's like a lot of other problems that come with that, but the main problem of why we didn't want to do that is, well, first off, there's a lot of other cutscenes in the game and the quizzes that are still in there. So yeah, you're saving about 4 minutes or more, but you still have to sit through like at least 15 minutes of text boxes and cutscenes combined where you can't actually do anything. So it doesn't actually, on the grand scheme, it only would make the run like 25% faster. So it's a patch. Like, if you imagine like putting a band-aid on something, we patched a little bit of a hole, but there's still like 20 other holes and the boat is still sinking. So that didn't really help. And another thing was also that we talked a bit to Playtonic, and they said that yeah, cutscene, there's something we're looking into. I think that's what they said. We're looking into it. So we were absolutely certain that this patch is something that was gonna happen. We just didn't know when. So we said, okay guys, let's just stick to what we do right now, and the patch is gonna happen soon. And if they come out and say officially cutscene skip is not happening, then maybe we can talk about it again. But now they finally came out with the update, like 2 weeks after release. And apparently it's still gonna be a few weeks until they release the patch. So we don't actually quite know when this patch is actually gonna happen. However, the fact that we know that it is gonna happen is making a lot of people very hopeful, and pretty much everyone in the community so far is going like, yeah, I don't feel like running, let's just wait until the patch is out, and then I'm gonna go really hard on it. Like, pretty much everyone's been saying that, I'm gonna wait until the patch comes out, and then I'm gonna go really hard on speedrunning. It's kind of a shame, because this should have, cutscene skip is something that should have been it. The game is launched. And for speedrunning, it's really kind of a kick in the nuts, but at least they're putting on the band-aid now, so the wounds are gonna start healing now, and that's at least something to look forward to. So yeah, that's what's been going on with the speedrunning community. A lot of people begrudgingly running the game, and now just being like, okay, fuck this, I'm just gonna wait until the patch is out. So don't expect too much else to happen in the meantime. Don't expect there to be that many big runs going out, people hunting for world records, or people posting their awesome new stuff that they found, because not that many people are doing stuff anymore, and we're pretty much just waiting for stuff to happen. So that was part 1 of this video. That's going to be a long video. I like ranting and rambling. Part 2 is going to be about the camera and about the stuff that they might fix. So the camera was another thing that people were having a bit of a problem with, especially people that casually play the game. But if you speedrun the game, you kind of get used to it. So something like camera, something like weird controls, even if it's something that really gets on your nerves, like some really badly designed places in the game, like some of the Carter sections, some of the bosses, it really gets on your nerves. After a while, you sort of learn to deal with it, and you get used to it, and even though it's not fun to play, you sort of like just tank through it, and that sort of a thing. And that's also something that happened with the camera. The camera is something that you just sort of deal with it, I guess, if you play the game a lot. And there are some places where the camera, the camera has like one position, then you walk to a specific spot, and the camera instantly changes to another position to like highlight something or something like that. And that's something that can always screw you over, and I don't think they're gonna change exactly that about the camera, because the reason why they have the camera snap is because you go to a specific section, and they want that specific section to have a specific camera for it. This section has this camera view, and so they snap the camera into that position, and then when you go away from that section, the camera goes back to normal. But if you accidentally trigger that transition in how the camera operates, you might get turned around a bit, you might run into the wrong direction, and some terrible stuff can happen. But since that's something that you know where it's going to happen and how it's going to happen, you can once again kind of deal with it. What they're actually going to do with the camera instead is they change the way the normal camera works, like not the snapping, but the camera, how the way the camera normally works when you're just running around normally and no snap happens. What you can see from the GIF is it looks pretty good, and yes, it's a GIF. You can also call it a GIF. You can call it whichever way you want. If you think it's either one or the other, have I got news for you? You can say it other way. Whatever. Tangents. I like tangents. So the camera, it looks pretty alright. So the camera doesn't get disturbed by bouncing into like the masts, or it doesn't get stuck behind stuff, which something might happen. I think if this was the original camera, the camera would do some really weird stuff once it gets close to the mast, but it just sort of like flies past it. You can still see your guy. Also, the camera doesn't swing around side to side. It stays steady on you while you move around. And I assume you can obviously still change camera direction with your stick, but it seems like the camera is a lot more steady now, saying, okay, we have this camera stick that you are touching all the time pretty much. Why don't we just make the camera more steady and give you more freedom over it, and also the camera's not going to bounce around too much. At least that's what it seems like from here, and if that's the direction they go, that does seem really nice, and that does seem like the way to go. So yeah, that's probably going to be good, but once again, it's something that's not live yet, so we're going to have to take a look at how it's going to be once it goes live. So we can't actually say that much about it yet. Now, about the fixes, they said that they were going to fix some stuff. Can I actually see where it's on the screen right now? I actually wonder where they said something. What they did. Oh no, I think they said it on Twitter. Yeah, on Twitter they said something. They were going to fix some stuff, and one of the stuff they mentioned was the Capital Casino out of bounds. Now, if you don't know what exactly that Capital Casino out of bounds they were talking about is there's one place in the game in Capital Casino where you can turn to a helicopter, you can talk to a Knight of Hamelot. It gives you the quest to ferry him somewhere else. So you take the quest, a timer starts, like timing down, whatever, and you have to like try and find the way, find the place that he wants to be delivered to, and get him there. But if you don't deliver him to his destination, instead go into a different map. For example, the not the wager laser. I think people often use or always use the power grid room. So there's a power grid room. If you go in there, which unloads most of the stuff. When you go in there from the normal stage, you go in there, and the regular stage is unloaded. You're now on the power grid, and then the timer runs out, and you say either yes or no to trying again. It doesn't actually matter what you do, but after you try again and get teleported back to where you initially talked to the knight, you'll notice that the ground has been unloaded, because that's one of the things that gets and the walls as well, I think. So the walls and the ground are unloaded, and since you're a helicopter, you can now fly everywhere. And that in itself is pretty interesting, and it's actually something that you could find during casual gameplay, and that's the biggest reason why they fix it. If it's a bug that you can find during casual gameplay that players playing the game normally could find, then it's something that you have to fix. If it's something that you could only ever find if you're a speedrunner trying to break the game, then I don't think they should fix it, and I think they kind of have the same idea as well. So they're fixing the Capital Casino stuff, and the question that I have though is what exactly are they fixing about it? Because one thing you need to know about that as well is that itself, even though it's already something that they should fix because of that, because it's something that you could casually find, something else about it is that apparently there are 6 pages hidden under the fountain that you cannot otherwise get to apart from going out of bounds. And it turns out, we did some testing, those 6 pages are real pages that you could otherwise collect during normal gameplay. And what happens is these 6 pages correspond to specific pages that you get from turning in tokens. So for some reason, the 8th, the 9th, and I think the 13th to 16th token pagey, or it might have been different ones, I think it's those ones anyway, those 6 pages that you get from turning in tokens, for some reason, are already there and under the fountain. We don't know where the other ones are. The other ones might just get like created when you turn in the tokens, but for some reason those 6 are under the fountain, and you can collect them, which means that you've essentially turned in like 80, 90, and then 130 to 160 tokens. But you can still turn in other tokens, token values, and still get those pages. And you can't create more pages than that. So you can't get more than 25 pages still in that level, because if you turn in the tokens for a pagey that you've already collected by going out of bounds, you do get the pagey showing up at the top of your screen where it shows your number whenever you get a pagey. But if you look into your totals menu, where it shows you the true number of pages you've actually collected, you don't actually get a second pagey. So That's why in speedruns and 100 page, 100% we allow those pages, because they are real pages that you can otherwise get. We're just getting them in a different way. So, thing is, what I'm wondering is, well, are they going to do something about those 6 pages, or are they just going to fix the way that the out of bounds works with the helicopter? Because they could just fix the out of bounds with the helicopter but leave the pages down there. Maybe there's a coding reason why there are 6 pages down there. Maybe they need to be down there for something else. Who knows? Maybe they move them somewhere else where you can't get to even when you go out of bounds. We don't really know. Because they only just said that they're gonna fix the Capital Casino out of bounds, but you don't exactly know what they're gonna fix about it. Also, something to note is there's another way you can get out of bounds, and that's also something that you could potentially find during casual play. So you have the Disco Fever entrance, and there's an exit to it where you go down a slide. You can actually use the fly move to go into that area. If you make it before the gate closes, I think there's a gate the closes there. If you make it past that and the gate closes behind you, it unloads some of the stuff from the actual stage, and you can then go out of bounds. And out of bounds, you do have to fly, so it does depend on your energy, but you're still out of bounds and you can run around, or fly around in there rather, and I think you can also get the pages like that. I haven't actually tested it, but I'm pretty sure you can also get the 6 pages like that. So are they also gonna fix that thing? Another question comes in, if they fix both of those ways, what if we find another way to go out of bounds? Are those 6 pages still gonna be down there? Are they still gonna be collectible? We don't know yet. So we don't actually know if this is gonna change anything about the Capital Casino stuff. Also, something to note is, we don't know if they're gonna fix anything else. Maybe they're gonna fix some other tricks that we've used, for example, the elevator door skip, aka the 100 page skip. Now, if they were to fix that, it would be game over for speedrunning, because you could just speedrun the game on the old version. You could just not upgrade your game, or upgrade your game and then have some place where you download a D-patcher or something, or download the other game version and then just run on that version. So it could still have any % runs that run with that. Just wouldn't be able to run with skipping cutscenes, which would be something pretty terrible when it comes to motivation for any %. But at least that would mean more people go to 100 page, more people go to 100%. I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that. If people go away from any % a bit, because I feel like any % are always the categories where it's just like, can't really relax too much and you have to focus so, I mean, that's just me personally. I have to focus so much on being absolutely perfect with everything that I do, that the fun factor does go down a bit. And everything gets so highly optimized that getting a better time becomes more and more a thing of like split seconds, and that's something that I don't really find that fun. I personally enjoy running more like 100 pages, where you just have a lot of gameplay, and you can maybe, if something goes wrong, you can be like, okay, first off, it's a really long run. If something goes wrong, it's not that bad. Every single run is gonna have some mistakes, and even the really good ones, some small ones at least. And hey, next time I can just not make that mistake and I can save some time there. Isn't that nice? And I'm gonna save like 10 seconds on this, or maybe even save more, maybe even save up to a minute. That's a really nice feeling when you do the next run and you see that big time save still there, just because you played a little bit better. Not, oh, I got plus 0.0 because I did something weird, and next time I can maybe get a minus 0.2 from being perfect. That's not something I'm personally too interested in, but that's just me. Anyway, what was I going on about? Yeah, so since elevator door skip is not actually used in 100 page and 100%, but the cutscene skip and all the stuff like that is really welcome anyway, that's gonna be really nice. Other people also thought, what if they patch out the early waterworks skip? In case you don't know, I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but the early waterworks skip allows you to skip from even before from entering the first stage, the waterworks entrance, which is where Moody Maze Marsh is, which effectively skips the first stage and allows you to skip Yooka-Laylee Glacier. You do have to go back into the first stage, but you're gonna open the shortcut to Waterworks, so you can just go directly from Travel Stack Tropics to Waterworks to Casino, and you don't have to go Glitter Glaze. And you don't have to go through the first quiz, it saves a lot of time. And you can do a little bit of a different route. Skipping this quiz itself saves 5 minutes, skipping Glitter Glaze saves another 5 minutes probably. Maybe probably less than that, but yeah. When you still have to get more pages to unlock Glitter Glaze, so it might be 5 minutes, who knows. So because of that, it saves about 10 minutes, but the thing is, skipping cutscenes is probably gonna save more than that. So if 100 page door skip still is in the game, but Early Waterworks is out of the game, that wouldn't actually be that big of a problem. You would still run on the newest version, because just skipping the intro cutscene saves over 4.5 minutes. Then you can just do the old route, where you do quiz 1, but you can skip the cutscene that goes together with quiz 1, meaning that quiz 1 is only 2 minutes instead of 5 minutes. So the Early Waterworks, like the time save for Early Waterworks, is no longer 10 minutes or 7 minutes. It's even faster probably, because dialogue is faster as well. So Early Waterworks ends up not actually saving that much time anymore compared to being able to skip cutscenes and making dialogue faster. That if you can skip the intro cutscene and some of the other cutscenes that happen, for like the cutscenes later in the game, before the final boss, it would still be faster to run on the version that doesn't have Early Waterworks skip in it. Interestingly enough, I'm pretty sure that would be the case. So I actually wouldn't mind too much if they fixed Early Waterworks. A lot of runners would probably invite that a lot, because Early Waterworks is something that if you fail it, you have to reset, which right now is terrible because you have to watch the intro cutscene again. But even so, even if the intro cutscene isn't there, knowing that you have to reset every time you fail that trick, even if it's only like 3 minutes into the run, many people don't quite like that. So if it was patched out, I wouldn't care too much. I would be alright with that. I would be totally alright with that. A lot of runners would definitely invite that. But the only downside is that, of course, the best possible time is going to be a bit longer, and some people that like to push the game to its limits are going to be a bit disappointed that they can't push the game quite that far anymore. But yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. I've rambled on for like, how long? How long is this going to be? Like 30 minutes? Jesus, like 30 minutes or something. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I do when I can't, or I don't want to like do speedruns or stream Yooka-Laylee for multiple hours, because I know that the cutscene patch is on the way. So instead I'm doing stuff like this. Anyway, if you did actually watch this long, watch me just ramble on about speedrunning the game or just what's going on with speedrunning in general, first off, thank you. Thank you for actually watching this video that long. Secondly, if you have any ideas on some other things that I could do to fill the time until the cutscene patch happens, I was thinking about doing something like I go through each stage in the game and talk about the level design. Actually, I'm pretty sure I'm actually gonna do that. But if you have any sort of ideas on what else I could do, like what sort of content do you want to see? Maybe I'm even gonna cut out this clip right here and gonna put it as its own video. Where I'm just like, guys, pretty much everyone is taking a break from speedrunning right now because we're waiting for the patch to come out. What sort of content do you want to see? Do you want me to take a look at specific tricks? Do you want me to do tutorials, guides, look at any percent, talk a bit about 100-page routing, about 100% routing? I'm probably going to do the thing where I go through every single level in the game and talk about level design, about the placement of every single collectible, why it's good, why it's bad. A lot of stuff is going to be bad, I can tell you right now. And I'm probably going to do some ramble videos in general, because I'm just so invested into this game, because I really wanted it to be something great. And even though I'm kind of let down, I still have really strong opinions about this game, about all the stuff that's wrong with it, but also all the stuff that's really well done with it, mostly the speedrunning aspects. So yeah, that's that. If you did actually watch the original video that I'm going to be posting this in, which is the Spit and Polish ramble, 30 minutes probably and longer, then once again, thank you. If you did like that, remember to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. Everything. Give me your soul. Stuff like that, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how to end videos. So I guess I'll just say thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.